afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are tuning in to our Leadership Live Tuesday, wherever you are in the world. Say hello in the comments. I would love to see who's here with me today. Welcome, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here once again on our Leadership Live Tuesday with the topic, A Fresh Start. Now, today, a topic that's been on my mind for the last couple of weeks that I've been speaking on different leadership topics has been the whole subject of morning routines. How do we set up our day for having the best day that we can possibly have? And I think hot on the heels of my topic from last week, which was Groundhog Day, which really was about the sense of even though there is so much change around us and there's so much going on, it kind of feels like every day can be the same. It's more of the same. So how do we move from that feeling of more of the same? We staying pretty much at home, seeing the same people, even though we're interacting with people over Zoom and seeing people on our computer screens, we pretty much don't have that. Our freedom is restricted, our movement is restricted, so it can feel like it gets us a little bit down. So how do we create or set up our day to feel more productive, to feel more of a sense of achievement, and to feel like maybe we're more alive or we have more freedom and we can have more joy in our day? And the topic of morning routines has come up quite a bit. There's a lot of ideas around on how do we set up our day for success. And this is what I wanted to focus on a little bit more today, because I realized that actually every day is an opportunity for a fresh start. So even though our days do feel a little bit like maybe one step forward and two step back, especially when we have our policymakers, our governments kind of opening up restrictions and then loosening up restrictions and then closing down again. We feel like we make some progress, we can go out a little bit, and then we have a whole lot of other restrictions that kind of come into our space and limit our sense of freedom. And everywhere in the world, we have pockets of that, and that can be really frustrating. So how about we take charge of our own days, of our own experience and of our own freedom, so that we see every single day as a fresh start. And yes, some days are horrible and some days are hard, and we just maybe don't even feel like getting up that morning, but we know that the next day might be different. And maybe that's the approach that we can take. How do we really set up every day as a fresh start, even when it's hard? So I'm just going to pause for a moment and say hello to whoever we've got on here. Welcome, Tanya. Hello from Johannesburg. Great to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Say hello in the chat and tell us, where are you tuning in from? I'd love to know. And yes, we have very cold weather in Johannesburg. I'm sitting here in summer, very hot and very humid. And we're all having a different experience of this world that we're living in. So just to reiterate, we're talking about a fresh start. How do we set up every day as a fresh start, an opportunity to create a day that can really set us up for those feelings of joy, productivity, achievement, love, care, whatever it is that we want to experience in our life? How do we set up our day for that? And that's really what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to share today 3 thoughts with you. And the first one is really going a little bit more deeply into the subject of morning routine. Now, I know that I've already mentioned that I'm a night person, okay? So I had a little bit of engaged around the topic of routine. There have been some books spoken about it, and it's really the idea that you wake up in the morning and you give yourself enough time to get into your day powerfully. So you set aside however long it takes, can be anything from 15 minutes to 2 hours of a certain routine you're going to follow that might include exercise. It might include reflection. It might include learning something, reading a book or listening to an audio. Whatever it is that suits you, you set it up as a morning routine and you do the same thing every single day. And that kind of puts you in the frame of mind that will set you up for your day well. So you can be happy, you can feel powerful, you can feel confident to go, and calm as well, to go about your day in the way that you want to. Now, the thing that's always hard for me with that idea is that I am a late night person. So I go to sleep quite late. And for me, every minute of sleep that I can get in the morning is extra sleep hours, which I really, really value. So I don't know if anybody can relate to that, but that's for me a real challenge, is to try and wake up 2 hours earlier to create some kind of a morning routine that will set me up for the day, even though there's a lot of evidence to show that this is really a good thing. So I want to ask you guys, how many of you out there actually have a morning routine? Do you have a morning routine? Do you have something that you do on a regular basis to start your day off powerfully? I'd love to know. So please do write in the comments, yes, no, thumbs up. Let me know, do you guys have a morning routine? Now, I've been doing a lot of thinking about that and some investigation. And the more I heard about it, the more I kind of got a little bit scared, because I hear that people have 2-hour routines, 3-hour routines. And that for me, as I said, eating into my sleep time, and that's problematic. But then I had another thought, and this is what I want to share with you today, is what about if we change the way that we think in the morning? So yes, a morning routine is incredibly valuable. I think I can commit like a good maybe 10 to 15 minutes, be half an hour. I know for me, starting off in the morning is something that I do quite quickly, kind of out of bed and into whatever it is that I need to do. But there is something that I've been practicing over the last few weeks that has really set up my day quite well that I want to share with you. And that is, how do I set up my thinking for the day that lies ahead? And so what happens with me is when I go to sleep at night, often after a busy day, I have a lot of thoughts still circling in my head, and I've got quite an active mind. So I'm thinking about everything that I've done and everything that I still need to do. And I'm kind of thinking for tomorrow, what do I need to still do? What are the things that I need to catch up on? My mind is kind of racing a little bit until it calms down and I fall asleep. And then I wake up the next morning with a head full of thinking about all the stuff that I kind of left over from the previous day. I wake up with a bang and it's like, okay, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. And I've got a client that I need to get back to, and I've got to make sure that we have food for supper, and and all of this is racing in my mind. And I had this realization that I actually want to wake up with a quiet mind. I don't want to wake up with a whole stream of thinking that kind of puts me straight into that fast-paced start for the day. So I don't know if anyone can relate to that. I'd love to hear if anybody else has this experience of having this racing mind in the morning. Because what I've actually been doing is I've started to, as I wake up, think about what thoughts I want to have, rather than just allowing any thoughts that come to bombard me. So as the thoughts start racing in my mind, I kind of take a deep breath. I spend a moment in gratitude, just saying, okay, I'm grateful for this day. I'm grateful for being healthy. I'm grateful for having this wonderful, comfortable bed, starting with some gratitude, and then thinking about just what kind of a day I want to have. I start directing my thoughts, because I think thinking is one of those things that we do unconsciously. It just happens. But I have found that we can start to direct our thoughts in a certain direction. So I started to think, okay, I want to have a beautiful day. I want today to go calmly. I want to have ease in my day. If I take the example of today, I've really been in back-to-back meetings the whole day from 9 o'clock in the morning. And I know that this is challenging for me because often I don't have much time in between for a bio break or a glass of water or a cup of coffee. I quickly run, grab a coffee and come back to my next meeting. So I wake up in the morning thinking, I want this day to go easily. I want to have enough energy for all the meetings that I need to have. And I really want to be able to give my clients everything that they need and do it joyfully and do it happily and feel like I'm contributing and adding value. And that's been my morning routine. That's how I've decided to adopt a morning routine. Now, I've shared before that over this period, I have started later with my meetings. So I don't generally take a meeting before 9 a.m. unless, an emergency comes up. But I'll start at 9. And what I will do before is I will definitely also take my 5-minute coffee in the garden as well. So that's been part of my morning routine. Sometimes I miss it, but really 90% of the time I've been able to do it. So my morning routine looks like lying in bed for those 5-10 minutes, directing my thoughts in the way that I want my day to go. And then getting up, whatever, washing my face, showering, having my cup of coffee in the garden. And sometimes if I have time, I even add a 10-minute visualization or reflection or just some thinking space. So that's been really helpful for me. And it literally takes, I don't think it takes me more than 15 minutes. And even when I say that the directing my thoughts, I don't even think I said 5 or 10 minutes, but it doesn't take 5 or 10 minutes. It's really more like 2 to 3 minutes. Just sit there thinking what kind of a day I want to have, the gratitude, getting up, having coffee in the garden, and then a little bit of time for reflection, visualization, mindfulness, or journaling. And that has set up my day in a way that has been absolutely amazing. So I've kind of taken the concept of morning routine and adjusted it to something that works for me, because I know that 2 hours is just not something that I can set aside for a morning routine at this stage of my life. Maybe one day. I know it's valuable. So for those who are doing it, kudos to you. If you're doing a good, solid 1 hour, 2 hour morning routine, I think it's amazing. Really is a way to set up your day for success. I'm starting small. And I'm suggesting for people who haven't got into that habit to maybe start small and find a way of creating a routine that sets up your day powerfully, and start with the thinking. For me, it's really worked. Direct your thoughts in a way that is going to make you already in alignment with how you want your day to pan out. I'm going to have a look here. Tanya, it also calms my mind to write down thoughts, because then I do not forget them. That's also very, very true. So writing things down is amazing. So whether you write down your thoughts or your to-do list or whatever it is, it's really a great idea. Thanks for that, Tanya. And Annie, wonderful to see you here. I see that you've joined us. Excellent to have you here. So that's really a little bit about the morning routine. Now, the second thought I want to share with you, the second idea, is really around limiting the amount of news that we're consuming over this period, because I think that also can get us into that rut of the Groundhog Day, the more of the same, and that feeling of fear and anxiety. So I know we need to be in touch with, well, for many of us, some people don't mind not being in touch with the news, but for many, it's a really important part of your day to connect with what's happening in the outside world, to know what's going on. So my recommendation here is limit the amount of news that you consume. We know that in terms of news, drama sells. So the worse it is, the more it's going to be the lead story of the day, the worse the news is. So try to limit that. And I really recommend, if you can limit it to once a day, a 10-minute slot where you read the news, you scroll through your news feeds on social media, whatever it is, whatever your preferred way of consuming news is, I would definitely say make it intentional, so that it's once a day, maximum maybe twice a day if you want morning and evening, but limit it, consciously limit the amount of news that you're consuming. I know that it's a real attraction to kind of switch on the TV or open the news feed and see what's going on, be up to date in terms of the latest numbers that are going on with number of infections, a number of serious illnesses. But the truth is that it doesn't really help us to maintain that state of mind that allows us to see each day as a fresh start. Because when we're seeing those numbers grow and we're seeing what's going on in the world, yes, it is scary. And if we expose ourselves to more and more of that, it's really difficult to get out of that and see a different perspective. So that's my recommendation. I'm saying do not be a hermit. You don't have to hide yourself away and say this is not happening or deny what's going on. But do limit the amount of information you consume, because it does impact us. It impacts us and our moods and our sense of motivation and our sense of joy. So I see we have Carmen here. Hello, Carmen. Great to see you. Thank you for joining us and for sharing your thoughts as well. So that's the news. And then the third idea I wanted to say is something that's really helpful in terms of getting us set up for our day, getting our day as a fresh start, and setting ourselves up for feeling good and taking charge of what we can control, is really deciding at the beginning of your day about the most important outcome you want for the day. So I call this the MIO. I know that sometimes people call it the most important thing you want to achieve in the day, but I like to look at it rather than as a to-do list of this is the most important thing I want to do today. I think of it in terms of outcome. What is the most important outcome I want to achieve today? And that gives us a little bit more flexibility in terms of what we decide to do. So for example, if an outcome that you are working towards is getting more fit and making sure that you exercise, maybe your most important outcome for the day is to do 10 minutes of exercise in that day. Maybe it's to go for a run. If your most important outcome is to make sure that your team feels connected and cared for, then maybe what you need to do is to make sure that you pick up the phone or send a message to each team member and check in on how they're feeling. So if you decide on the outcome that you want, the task that comes out of that becomes quite clear. And that is a better way to look at it than to look at tasks, because often we are so busy with so many tasks that we have to do that we forget what it's about and why we are busy with those tasks. So an example of that is the number of meetings that we may have in a day. It's like one meeting after another on some kind of virtual platform. And then sometimes we feel like we've just been running from meeting to meeting to meeting, and what have we actually achieved? But if we think of that in terms of connecting with my team, proposing to a client a new piece of work, or connecting with a potential client, that gives us much more of a sense of achievement and satisfaction than if we just say, okay, I have to have this meeting today. So I'd encourage you to think about what is the most important outcome for you for today, and then set that in your mind and say, if when I achieve that, or the minute that I achieve that, I'm good for the day, and anything else that I do is a bonus. That also lifts our spirits, gives us energy, and gives us a sense of motivation for the day that lies ahead. And an example of something like that is, even for me personally, I've decided that I want to amplify the level of ease in my life. So I know that I can tend to get into that very fast pace of doing and thinking and just going from one meeting to the next, or kind of knocking things off my to-do list. And in that pace, I sometimes get exhausted. I sometimes lose the sense of motivation, and really think that, I can spend a day thinking that I've been so busy that I don't really know what I've achieved. But when I go back to that most important outcome, and for me it's to amplify the sense of ease, then already the stuff that I do is in the context of amplifying the ease in my life. And I have to say, some really amazing things have come into my space recently with such ease that I'm just absolutely amazed how setting an intention in terms of outcome can change your mindset and perspective, and then change the way you do things. So those are the three things I wanted to share with you today. Think of your morning routine as what kind of thinking you want to have for the day ahead. Limit the number of news that you're consuming in the day. Definitely do not make it a rolling over thing, every few minutes just checking what new news item there is. And the third thing is, think of your MIO, the most important outcome for you for that day, and then make sure you focus your tasks on that. And when that's done, you can relax and say, okay, whatever else happens is really just a bonus. And to end off, I really want to share something that I heard that I thought was really quite powerful. And that is that at the moment, we are battling an external virus. There's an external virus in our space that we're really doing our best to keep ourselves, our family, our friends, and our society healthy and safe. But at the same time, we might be missing that there's actually also an internal virus that's invaded our space without us even noticing. And just as much as we want to watch out and keep ourselves safe from the external virus, we want to watch out and keep ourselves safe from the internal virus. And the internal virus is the one that has invaded our thinking with thoughts of worry and fear and anxiety, and trying to think about what will be and how will I be affected. And all of that thinking really is part of the internal virus that is invading our space. And how do we actually keep that one under control? Let's be aware of it, and let's see what we can do, because the internal virus we can do something about. That really is within our control. The external virus, we can just do our best. So let's see how we can, contain that internal, the way we're thinking, watch our emotions, watch our thinking, and really set ourselves up in a way that will help us set up every day as a fresh start for the successful, powerful, calm, motivated, joyful day that we want to lead that day. And that's the thought that I want to leave you with. So think about that. Are you able to set your day up as a fresh start every single day? Are you able to keep yourself motivated, excited? And perhaps the 3 tips that I shared today can be helpful in that realm. So I'd love you to just in the comments, whoever's still here, share with me, which of the tips did you like? Is there anything that you relate to? What did you take away from today's conversation? Share in the comments. And if you have any other tips that I haven't thought of to set your day up as a fresh start every single day, tell me about that too. So here's my wish for you. Let's make every day a fresh start. We can always start fresh, great, feeling good every single day. Every single day is an opportunity to do just that. Please let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you next week at Leadership Live Tuesday, same time, same place. I'm always here. So please do join me, and thank you as always for being here.